part 2 of What If the Jedi Had Believed Fives. Now, previously we had talked about it, and I forgot to take into account the fact that Palpatine had already confessed to Fives at the point that Fives was executed. So basically, the whole premise of our What If is, what if Commander Fox wasn't there or was using a stun? With that in mind, let's get into it. I'm going to do sound test take 2 right now, and hopefully it's not as loud. Okay, so I'm using a microphone that's actually inside my helmet, so I'm going to try and keep my voice down because I'm used to projecting, and so I'm hoping that my volume doesn't overwhelm this mic. So at this point, Fives has already been subdued, he's already talked to General Skywalker believes him, he doesn't think he's crazy, we've established all that in our part 1 video. If you haven't watched that, go watch that. So now, Anakin is in the middle of his investigation. I think at this point, since they knew there was a conspiracy against the Jedi, he and Obi-Wan would be dispatched to Kamino to go investigate. Obviously, they would send Anakin because Anakin trusts Fives with his life. I mean, literally, he took Fives to the Citadel when he didn't even want to take Ahsoka to the Citadel in Season 4. Now, with that in mind, I do think that they would also send Obi-Wan, because Obi-Wan was the first one to discover Kamino, as well as the Clone Army. I mean, you kind of got us into this thing, Obi-Wan. You better figure this thing out. So, at that point, I think they would go straight to some of the head scientists, and at that point, I believe it would be Nalin Say. Now, if you guys remember Nalin Say from the Bad Batch, you'd also remember that they'd probably meet Omega. Now, Omega was technically a direct counterpart to Boba Fett, which Obi-Wan and Anakin had both already had to deal with during the Clone Wars. Obi-Wan directly on his first interaction on Kamino, Anakin a little bit indirectly on the bombing of his Jedi cruiser when he and Mace Windu were there and Boba kind of infiltrated the whole system. Now, I believe that Nalin Say believes in doing what's right. And I think that if Omega found out at all what was going on, I feel like Omega would help convince Nalin Say to help the Jedi discover and remove the chips. The main thing is, I wonder if they'd be quick enough before BD's memory got wiped. I think his name was BD. He was the little medical droid that helped Fives out. Now, with all 5 of them going and exploring this inhibitor chip, I believe that they would discover the truth. But what would they do about it is the better question. From there, I believe that the Jedi Council would be a little bit more secretive. They've kind of set up that habit in the Clone Wars anyway. So, with them being a little bit sneaky, I think they would put out an issue to maybe grab one division of clones at a time to have them all have their chips removed in secret. They could do this under the guise of excess training, medical evaluations, or even they could make up a virus or a plague that was somehow attacking just the Jango Fett genome? I'm not sure. The Jedi are creative. They faked Obi-Wan's death. They can come up with some other BS lie like they did them. And before you ask, yes, I still like Jedi, but I like Grey Jedi better, and I'm probably getting too loud, so my microphone's getting all mad at me. But I'm a little riled up because I love my clones. So I think what would happen is, as they slowly worked out getting the chips removed from every single division of Clone Trooper, I think from there Anakin would no longer trust Palpatine, and the Jedi would then start to launch a plan to take him out. The problem is, we don't know exactly how much Palpatine confessed to Fives, so we don't know if Fives was able to tell the Jedi that Palpatine was in charge of both sides of the war. We don't really know. I think what would happen at that point is the Separatists would in fact try and kidnap Chancellor Palpatine, but it would be more to extract him rather than to actually kidnap him. Because I think Palpatine, he's a smart guy. He's going to figure out that the Jedi are onto him before not, and he's going to be like, hey, my boy Dooku, you got to get me out of here, dude. And then Anakin and Obi-Wan would still have those same exact scenes they had in the beginning of 3, although instead of trying to save him, they're trying to capture him. And then, at that point, it would be a duel between Dooku and Palpatine versus Obi-Wan and Anakin, but I also think they probably would have sent maybe Mace Windu and Yoda, Shock 2, and a few of the other Jedi, because we know for a fact that many of them were actually on Coruscant during that in the original wars, but I think they would have brought more of the Jedi back in and like let them all know discreetly of what was going on with the clones and the inhibitor chips and everything like that. If you want to find out what happens next, like, comment, and subscribe for part 3.